Welcome back to Easy SEO for WordPress. In this lecture, we're going to talk about mobile search, and in particular, we're going to cover mobile's recent inflection point, the Google Mobilegeddon update, and then we want to talk about how mobile search impacts your site and what you can do about it. So now mobile is king. Well, sort of. On May 5th, 2015, Google announced that for the first time ever, mobile search volume was higher than the combined search of desktop and tablet search. And the significance of this is that it's actually in Google's biggest markets. So, US, Japan, some of the other countries like the UK, Canada, Australia. So, mobile search now exceeds that of your traditional desktop. And that's a significant change in a really short period of time. If you think back as, maybe as few years ago as 5 years ago, the number was more like 90-10 in favor of desktops rather than in respect of mobile. So that's a pretty significant change. And in fact, ComScore released a report only a couple months back that said that mobile search was only 29%. So Google have come out now and said, well, no, that's actually not true. It's 47.5% for mobile devices and 47.2 for desktops and tablets. So that inflection point now means that mobile is bigger, and it needs to be a much more important part of your overall organic search traffic mix. And if you think about it, it's happened in such a short period of time that lead is actually going to extend. Mobiles are so prevalent, so predominant now everywhere you go, that it only makes sense that you're going to see the portion of desktop search decline and mobile will continue to grow. And where it stops, it's hard to say. It depends on, I suppose, how we think about those devices. But it's important to realize that now mobile is, from a search perspective, is actually just the biggest portion of traffic. So, but we had to see this coming, right? Yeah, Google had flagged this a couple months ago, and a lot of commentators had said, yeah, mobile will eventually overtake desktop. I don't think anyone kind of knew the dates, but I think Google had a good impression. They've been working on what they call their mobile-friendly search. So you sometimes see it when you're on a mobile device. You'll see a little tag appear next to some search results that says mobile-friendly. And if you're on your desktop, you don't see that. Google announced in February that mobile friendliness would become a ranking factor. So in their mobile search results, if your site was more mobile friendly, you would rank higher than sites that weren't. And that makes a lot of sense. If you think about it, Google is trying to deliver the best results for their visitors. And if you're on a mobile device and they let you click through to a site that isn't well formatted for your device, you're not going to have a great result. You're going to have a high bounce rate. People are going to leave and come back to the search results and look for something a little more mobile friendly. Now, this was a really strange announcement because Google generally doesn't flag big changes like that very often. It's quite rare for them to tell you that a change is coming, for them to describe the change. It got even more strange because they actually announced the date, and I actually have no recollection in the last 7 or 8 years of Google actually saying there's a change coming, and this change is coming on this date, and that change is going to have a significant impact to the search engine result pages. So everybody kind of had their hackles up, and it started to even get a little bit worse because on Google Webmaster Tools, sites that were not really mobile friendly or had issues in from Google's perspective, these people started to get notices. We had clients that got sometimes as much as 60 and 70 notifications about pages and aspects that weren't quite right on their sites. So people were getting a little bit concerned about it. But what actually happened? Well, to be honest, it doesn't seem like much. It's a matter of proportion. Some sites lost a little bit of traffic here and there on pages that weren't really well designed for mobile. Others gained some places based on maybe being a little bit better than their competitors. but there isn't a lot of reports of any single site getting absolutely smashed. And if you think about it, that makes sense. If you get a large proportion of your traffic from mobile already, you probably know that. And if you run a significant site, you almost certainly know that. So if you were getting a large portion of your traffic from mobile already, well, it makes sense that you probably have dealt with this mobile friendly responsive design aspect in the past. And if you didn't, well, you probably are still going to get some traffic anyway, because there's a reason why you're getting that much traffic. So nobody took a really huge hit that we're aware of just yet. But something did actually happen, and that's important to understand. We saw it in a few of our clients. So we had one of our clients who sell a physical product. They had a 39% increase in the last couple weeks since this change on their mobile search traffic. And they get enough traffic that's a significant number. So you can see that something changed. We had another client who they're not as dependent on mobile traffic, and really their site is designed to be much better viewed on a desktop. And in fact, their target audience isn't mobile at all. It is really more of a desktop experience. So they had an 11% drop, and that's largely because there were some aspects to their site where the web pages were quite big, so that they weren't as mobile friendly. But the thing that we did see was that no single page lost a lot of traffic and no single page gained a lot of traffic. It was just dribs and drabs across a variety of different pages. So it was an overall change that had a cumulative impact. So based on all that, what do you now need to do? Well, you have to think about your traffic profile. I mentioned it earlier. It's critical to understand your visitors and how do they get to your site now. So do you get a lot of mobile traffic? Is your site suitable for mobile? So if you may have a large visual site that's high fidelity imagery, and when it's squished down to a small mobile, that's not really relevant for your visitors. So you need to understand your traffic flow, the value of that traffic, what you want the traffic to do when it gets to your site, and is mobile even important to you? Are you getting a lot of traffic from mobile now? And then that kind of shakes out into how much effort is involved in fixing the problem that you're having. We had a number of clients where they didn't get a lot of traffic. The traffic they did get really didn't convert into sales, and that's due to the nature of their sites. So for them, it was let's take a wait and see approach, whereas others, they're getting a significant portion of their conversions on mobile, and they had maybe one or two small issues, and they had to address them before the 21st of April. They did, no impact. So it's important to understand your site and your goals. One thing you do need to remember, though, is mobile is growing. So the number of mobile devices is almost exponential in growth, and the search volume traffic that's coming from those devices is continuing to increase, and that lead over the desktop tablet traffic will grow. So you have to think about maybe today you're not getting a lot of mobile traffic because maybe your site doesn't suit mobile, but maybe you need to think about whether or not it should. So one of the key elements for delivering a good mobile experience is the concept of responsive design. And basically what that means in the most simple terms is that your site changes its visual appearance to suit the device that it's being viewed on. So on desktop, it may have a very wide format and you'll have a sidebar, but on a mobile device, it'll swing down to a single view. Your buttons are big enough so that somebody can tap them on a phone with their thumb. Responsiveness is really all about making the user experience suit the device that the person is viewing your site on. And you do that largely with responsive themes, and they're really now abundant. People have been making this transition to responsive design for the last couple of years. So if you're using a higher end professional theme, there's a very, very good chance that it will automatically be responsive, so you don't have to do a whole lot. And if you're not, you really need to think about, well, is my theme responsive and HTML5 and CSS3 compliant? And what do I have to do to get it there? And that's the beauty of WordPress, is it makes it easy. Largely, your theme maker, if they're worth their weight in salt, will have already made this update. So changing that out and updating it is pretty easy. Now, if you've custom built your site, or you use another platform other than WordPress, then this can get a little tricky. We've had some customers who have Magento e-commerce stores, and it can be a real problem to shift their store into a more responsive design. The last thing we want to talk about is natural language search, and we've mentioned it throughout the course before, but search is changing when it comes to mobile. Voice-enabled search is going to be huge. So things like Siri on the iPhone, people are now asking their device questions. They're not searching for keywords. So they don't say, take me to they'll ask the question, where is the nearest hot dog stand? Not hot dog stands Sydney. That's not how they use voice-enabled search. It's not how mobile search works. So you need to think about your content and how you're answering questions and how you're delivering the information to the user and how it's structured. Because as it moves to a more natural language search, Google is really looking to send people to pages that answer questions, not focus heavily on one or two keywords. There's an element still of keyword research that needs to be required, but that comes back to how do I solve a problem with the content on my page. So mobile is driving natural language search, the technology is driving voice-enabled search, and the voice-enabled search is driving the idea that people are going to now ask their device questions. So you need to make sure that you're answering those questions if you want to continue to rank your site highly in Google. So let's summarize. Mobile is now the biggest source of search traffic in the largest markets for Google. Google is starting to favor more mobile-friendly sites in their mobile search results. To take advantage of that, you need to understand your traffic, your site, your visitors, and to maximize your potential, you need to think about responsive design and what the experience is like for your users. And remember, natural language search is growing. So how do you build structure and lay out your content to maximize the benefit of that?